Hi, Mark here. It is Thursday, April the 2nd, 7:45 a.m. Eastern, 11:45 a.m. GMT. US session about to get underway. Let's have a look how the markets shape up this morning and a really sharp turnaround, perhaps unexpected, not totally, but following the two-day sell-off in the US dollar on the hope promise of a de-escalation in the Middle East conflict did not last for long, as you can see, and Trump's reassertion of his aggressive stance and the threats against Iran, chopping and changing his mind regarding whether the war will or won't end, dependent on the Straits of Hormuz being opened or not opened. I think all too much for the market. And here is, as always, the market's response. US dollar index rallied yesterday following Trump's speech last night and a flight back to US dollar safety, liquidity, safe haven status. And here you see it, support at 99.27 and going into the US session already that 100 mark being tested. We'll see how that plays out during the course of today's US session. Anything new that comes out of, be it the US or be it out of Iran, but certainly the fear factor is back. The flight to US dollar safety is back, and the volatile nature of the market continuing. Let's have a look at S&P, and we're looking at the futures market. Still almost 2 hours until Wall Street opens up. And here you see, as did the US dollar rally, so the stock markets and the equity markets have done just the opposite, and a strong sell-off in the futures market. Resistance at 6,633 and support at 6,508. Let's see what happens once the US opens, once the US session gets started, and once Wall Street opens, whether this will be continued, the sell-off, the very strong sell-off, which has pretty much been in place the whole year and so strong over the past week. There's the rally we saw in anticipation of de-escalation in the Middle East. We saw US dollar being sold off. We saw a flight to risk on and equities being bought, demand for equities. That all turned around again last night, yesterday, following Trump's speech, and we'll see how that plays out today. Let's have a look at gold. And there's the inverse relationship, as did the US dollar rally. So gold being sold off. And that's after a strong 4-day rally. I've got resistance at 4,802. Note the double top, strong reversal sign. And I've got support at 4,544. Gold may well take its cue from the performance of the US, the traditional inverse relationship. And we'll watch and see how that does play out now today during the US session. Oil, Brent oil, and there you see so much for the selling we saw over the last 2 days, back to a strong spike up from oil at 99.16 support, just under that 100 mark, now sitting at 109.33. Buyers looking to get back above that 110, that resistance level, or perhaps even higher. So oil, now that the de-escalation, let's call it promise or hope rather, out the window and back to being a nervous oil market and moving in anticipation of worst case scenario, the way that oil does perform. And there you see the big green candlestick wiping out the 2 days of selling that we've seen, and buyers looking higher for now. Bitcoin within its familiar range. So nothing's really changed with Bitcoin. Again, 66,000, that tough support level. Have a look how many times it's tried to trade below that level. It's sitting testing that level right now. Going into the US session, we'll see whether that can break. If that does break, certainly a long way to go on the downside down to that low of 60,000. We'll see if that is the case, or as we have seen and we're pretty used to, if we go all the way back here to the beginning of the year, and we're seeing it again now towards the end of last month and into the beginning of April, that familiar range between 66 and just under and 68, 69, that roughly $3,000 range. We'll see if buyers do step in, bounce up off this support area and look back up to the 68.7 resistance for now. But sideways continuing, but the bias is down. If you have a look, we can draw in a series of lower highs following yesterday's brief move higher and descending triangle formation as well, and possibly that break will come to the downside. Good trading, keep that discipline, and I will see you at the end of the day.